The new year is right around the corner, so what better way than to kick off that new year with some absolutely fantastic Mac apps to help boost your productivity and really get the most out of your Mac in 2026. So let's start with one that I'm really honestly not sure how Apple just hasn't actually implemented this into macOS yet, and that's Folder Preview. I think we all use and love Quick Look with files, so being able to just simply press the spacebar and get a preview of an image, document, video, etc. It's a great way to do that, but why can't we not see what's inside of folders or zip files by just doing the same thing? Well, Folder Preview does exactly that. Now you just press the spacebar on a folder in Finder and you can see the contents of that folder, and even with zip files without having to actually unzip them. It's such a game changer that, again, I don't know how Apple hasn't just implemented this yet into macOS. Monocle is a great app if you get distracted by all of your open windows and tabs, which, if you're anything like me, can be a lot and can happen a lot at any given time. But Monocle just blurs everything out in the background and brings your main application that you have open to the forefront, making it, again, so much easier to focus on the task at hand. Monocle calls it noise canceling for your screen, and I think that's a really great description in my opinion. The app lives in the menu bar if you want to adjust any settings, so if you click up here, you'll get a little side panel that gives you more options like the ability to turn it on and off if you just don't need it, or you can add certain apps to the ignore list, meaning Monocle won't automatically turn or blur the background if you're using that app, or you can adjust different focus modes. You can actually adjust the levels of blur, tint, and grain, and so much more. This is so great for, again, those who just need a little extra help focusing on just that one important task in the moment. And speaking of that one important task, or maybe that one thing that you need to remember, One Thing is a very simple menu bar application that just helps you remember that one thing. Simply click the one icon in the menu bar and type out the one thing you need to remember. Could be an upcoming event you don't want to forget, a chore that needs to get done, something for work, maybe your favorite quote that you don't want to forget for that day, etc. The text at first is subtle, and honestly, I do recommend changing it up here because it doesn't really stand out as much, but you can make it stand out by just going into the settings menu, and under appearance, you can manage the text size, the weight, the width, make the text bold, change the colors. So maybe go with something bright and vibrant like red to make it really stand out. But yeah, I mean, the options are endless, and it's a nice little addition to your macOS menu bar. This next app is actually a bonus 11th app on the list, and it comes from today's sponsor, Moonlock. As someone who lives on my Mac every single day, I'm constantly downloading files, opening up attachments, testing new software. And honestly, that's where things can get sketchy kind of fast. macOS has great built-in security, but it's not really designed to protect you from Mac-specific malware or explain what's actually going on behind the scenes. That's why I've been using Moonlock. It's a Mac-first cyber protection app that runs quietly in the background and gives me real peace of mind. From the moment you install it, Moonlock is protecting every file on your Mac in real time. It's blocking threats the second they appear and isolating anything suspicious so it can't do damage. The interface is super clean and easy to understand, so you're not overwhelmed with any technical jargon. And you also get built-in VPN protection for safer browsing, system protection that helps lock down risky settings, and a security advisor that teaches simple habits to stay safe online. It's one of those apps that you can honestly just set up once and then forget about it because it's working 24/7 without slowing anything down. And if you do need to look at it, there's not a lot of technical jargon that's going to confuse you. It's really laid out in simple terms. So if you want an extra layer of protection on your Mac, try Moonlock free for 7 days today and use our code for an extra 10% off. Thanks Moonlock for sponsoring this video. Command Tab is a great way to quickly switch between applications on your Mac, but I do got to give credit to the Windows fans and users out there. Alt Tab with the thumbnail preview, in my opinion, kind of looks a little bit better. And well, the Alt Tab app here on the Mac can now bring that to your Mac. So now when I press Alt Tab and continue tabbing through different applications, I see a full window preview of what's going on here, which is nice, but it goes even deeper than that because it's not just your open applications, which is what you get with Command Tab on the macOS system, but it shows you all of the windows that are open from each app as well. So you can not only switch between apps, but to a specific window. Then there are a bunch of different custom shortcuts you can do. You can even do Alt-W to close a window if you need to. And you can even change the look and appearance. So if you want to make it more like macOS with just icons, which I wouldn't really recommend because you already have that, You can also make it a list of text or use this thumbnail view, which is my personal favorite. And the app just gives you a lot more control over this ability to switch between not only apps, but also specific windows of apps too. Now, if you like the idea behind Alt-Tab, but want something that feels a bit more visual and dock-centric, DockDoor is a free, great alternative to consider. Instead of focusing primarily on keyboard switching, DockDoor leans into mouse and trackpad workflows by adding live window previews directly to your dock. So when you hover over an app icon, you instantly see all of its open windows laid out in front of you. This can feel more natural if you're already used to interacting with the dock and prefer clicking or glancing at thumbnails rather than cycling through windows with a shortcut. DockDoor also gives you an optional window switcher, but its real strength is making window management feel more discoverable and less abstract, which can be especially appealing if you just want visual context without changing how you already use macOS, which I think is probably the way I would go personally. But if you're coming from, a Windows machine to the Mac, Alt-Tab might be the way to go too. Either way, these are both great options. And sticking with that same window switching, here's a third option for this app launching theme we got going on here. Launchy is a great way for people who just want something more gesture-driven and minimal compared to Alt-Tab or DockDoor. Instead of cycling through windows or hovering over the dock, Launchy lets you simply hold Option and Command down, and right at your mouse cursor, a circular launcher pops up on screen. From here, you can either switch between your currently opened apps, but I think that's boring. I would launch into specific apps that you've pre-selected, and this can be done in the settings menu, and you can customize exactly which apps appear by either just scrolling through the very short list for some reason. I would just open up your applications folder and then just drag and drop the app that you want, and it supports up to 6 apps. And that limitation actually keeps things fast and intentional. I kind of wanted more, but then I realized things would get bogged down. So 6 is really great. It makes Launchy a great choice if you want instant access to your most used apps without visual clutter or digging through the dock or the applications folder. Command X is another simple but incredibly useful utility that brings the familiar cut and paste workflow from Windows, another thing that I have to give them credit for, Windows and Linux, by the way, to the Mac by letting you use Command X and Command V to move files and folders in Finder, something that macOS doesn't natively support with those keys. Normally, on a Mac, you have to copy with Command C and then use a different shortcut, which I believe is Optioned Command V to move the items, which I even struggle to remember now, and that can be unintuitive and interrupt your flow if you're not used to it. Command X just runs quietly in the background. It intercepts the standard cut shortcut, makes file management so much smoother and more efficient, especially again for users who switch between platforms. Or if you've never experienced this before, but you just want a more logical keyboard behavior tool, this is the way to go. It's a small utility, but solves a real everyday pain point and enhances productivity with literally zero friction. Substage is a clever productivity boosting utility that lives right underneath the Finder window and lets you control your Mac using natural language instead of digging through menus or terminal commands, which I don't even remember half the terminal commands. So instead of memorizing tricky command lines, you simply type what you want to do, like convert this 1080p video to an MP4, resize these images, or zip up these files, and Substage uses AI to translate your prompt into exactly the right terminal command, and then it just runs it for you. Again, this makes complex file operations, conversions, query, things that we just probably don't know or remember, so much more fast and intuitive, especially if you work with a bunch of media, code, file management, and you just kind of need to adjust things quickly. It's honestly like having a smart command bar assistant that bridges everyday language and powerful Mac automation, which can save tons of time and effort. ImageOptim is another essential tool for anyone who works with images on their Mac. And honestly, I can't believe it's taken me this long to discover this, but if you upload content online, like for me, YouTube thumbnails is a real pain point, blog posts, social media, it slimmed down your image files without noticeably reducing quality, which means faster load times, smaller file sizes, and less wasted storage. The YouTube thumbnail storage limit, I believe, is 2 megabytes, and oftentimes I have to slim down things. This is just so much faster. You can just drag and drop your PNGs, JPEGs, whatever it might be, and it strips out the necessary metadata and compresses them more efficiently than most built-in tools. So for creators, this means your thumbnails and graphics look just as crisp, but takes up far less space, and it uploads quicker and meets the requirements. A simple productivity win that can make a surprisingly big difference in your workflow. And lastly, this app is definitely more of an indulgent nice to have, but it really is nice to have. Bauhaus Clock really shines as an excellent macOS screensaver. It turns your Mac into a clean, modern desk clock whenever your display goes idle. Instead of a generic screensaver, you get a beautifully designed minimalist clock inspired by Bauhaus principles that looks great on an external monitor or studio display. It's perfect if you leave your Mac on while you're doing other work. Maybe you're doing some recording or whatever it might be, and just at a quick glance across the room, it tells you the time without waking up the screen or showing you notifications. Of course, this app features customization of the clock if you need it, but it's right inside of the screensaver portion of the macOS settings menu, and you can adjust all the things that you need to make it look even better. And I highly recommend it if you've got an extra $20, a little steep, but it makes everything look great on your Mac when it goes idle. And that's it. Those are the macOS apps that I'm going to be using a lot in 2026, and I would highly recommend you try some of these out if you want to. Let me know what you think of these apps, or if there's another app that we didn't mention that you think I should check out, let me know down in those comments. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.